Hi, Aaron. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Hi, mate. Yeah, very good. Thanks for having me on your podcast. I'm really looking forward to speaking about the industry. Yeah,
No, of course. Well, thank you very much for joining. So I think we'll just start at the beginning, really. Can you tell me where you grew up and how you got into welding?
yeah, no problem, mate. So, when I was 16 years old, I was in school and I wasn't really enjoying school. Then I was speaking to my brother. My brother started a welding and fabrication apprenticeship. So, once he started his apprenticeship, then he was time served. He was the money he was earning. I was like, you know what, I can do earning that type of money. So,
Yeah.
I ended up leaving school and basically going to putting emails out to different colleges in Aberdeen, and then I got a response, and I went to college. Then finally started my apprenticeship, and the rest is history. To be fair,
Did you do sort of a year in college before you had an apprenticeship, or?
so to start with, I was in college for about 4 weeks, and then they found you a company. So the company that I got found was Acker Solutions in Aberdeen. That's obviously where I'm based and where I was from. So I started my apprenticeship in Aberdeen, and then from then I done 4 years with Acker Solutions, and I was a time served welder after that.
Okay, what sort of work did you do there?
So when I was an apprentice, to start with, everyone everyone hates it because you're sweeping floors, you're
Yeah.
basically just running around for everyone, and you're not really enjoying it. But I said to my father when I was younger, I said, "Look, I'm hating this." I said to my brother, and we both said, "Look, stick it out, son, and it'll be worth it. Once you get your trade, once you get your qualifications, you'll be able to work anywhere in the world and really enjoy yourself and earn some good money." So as I did, I stuck it out, and yeah, I need to thank them for that, for making me stick it out. Really, yeah.
So did you kind of, were you academic in school or were you sort of better with your hands?
Yeah, so in school I wasn't really enjoying it because I wasn't really mathematic, if you know what I mean. So I
Yeah.
was more a hands-on type of guy with craft and things like that. But I did have in the back of my mind trying to stick on at school and get my hires and things like that. But I seen how much money my brother was making, and I goes, you know what? Why not try it out and see how I got on? And I tried it out, and I was happy enough. But the thing is that a lot of people are scared to get a trade is because a lot of these guys that go to uni, they look down on tradesmen. They think, oh, you're a welder, you're a pipe fitter, and like basically look down on you. But I'll tell you right now that the amount of money that you can make in this game is unbelievable and phenomenal because a lot of people that go to uni, a lot of them do get themselves in debt. And this isn't a dig at people that do go to uni, but this is a I'm just trying to say how like don't feel embarrassed about getting an apprenticeship because at the end of the day, the money that you can earn doing the apprenticeship that you've done is phenomenal, and a lot of people can only dream of earning the money that you can in the welding game.
Yeah, look, of course, education is important, but for me personally, I never kind of felt like I fitted in sort of school as in education wise. And then as soon as I went to college, it was kind of like, do you
Yeah,
know what? Everyone's kind of similar to me, maybe a little bit disruptive in school, I would say. But then when I was in
yeah.
college, kind of, had that personality where it would be laughing, joking, getting along. The tutors would treat you differently. They would treat you like an adult. That's what the way I
Definitely.
looked at it. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about the apprenticeship then. Once you started sort of getting into welding, started doing codings and things, that's when you started actually.
No problem. Yeah. So for the first year of my apprenticeship, just, I was sort of in the structural shop. So in my work where I done my apprenticeship, there was a piping shop and there was a structural shop where they built frames and stuff for offshore. But so you were in that shop to start with. That was called the carbon steel shop. So you were in that shop to start with. I was cleaning up plates, sweeping up, just hating life, getting everyone's
Yeah,
cups of tea. Everyone's got a cup of tea now.
yeah,
Here's me on outside, and I'll get a cup of tea and things like that. So but for the first couple of years, that's what you're doing. And then once you start getting a knowledge of the industry and how it works, you start doing your coding. So I started off with the structural carbon steel type of work. And that was all to do with MIG welding and flux core. So the first coding that I initially done was it was a 3G plate test for MIG. So it was a MIG route, then a flux core filling cap. So I started off with that. Then I got the hang of it pretty quick because it's quite an easy part of the trade, if you know what I mean. Like MIG welding and flux core welding, I don't know if anyone said, but it's quite an easy it's quite an easy coding to get. So you start off with the 3G plate test, which is in the vertical, and you route it with MIG bare wire, solid wire. Then you fill it out with flux core filling caps. So once you do that, a couple of trial tests, and once you start getting the hang of it, then the inspector will come in and say it's ready for go away to get bombed and things like that. So yeah, that was the
a lot
first
of it is
coding.
confidence as well, isn't it? Once you pick up a bit of confidence and you kind of pass a few X-rays, it helps you a lot
Yeah,
move on faster then, doesn't it?
because see the welding game, I'm not gonna lie, it is very stressful at times because just say the pipe fitter is making a pipe right, and they're making this spool and it's all the right angles, and then you become to weld it. So once you weld it, that all needs to be perfect, because if it goes away X-ray, that's a lot of time consuming. It takes a lot of time to weld it, a lot of time to fit it again. So at the end of the day, time is money in that game, because it costs money for time. So if you're getting a repair, you need to start from scratch again. So it is very stressful because you're wanting everything to pass first time.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody remembers the butts that go through the X-ray. They only kind of bring up the ones that fail, don't they? You never get, thank you for passing those 10 X-rays. You failed one, like you've messed up, go and fix it. But look, it is difficult being a welder because you always have to retest, you always have to train. But it's good as well because it keeps you on your toes, doesn't it? It keeps you working to a good standard. And
If you want to do the best in your trade, you know what I mean? Because you keep wanting to do the best for the job, because you want to get a good name for yourself as well. That's the thing. Because once you start not caring about your work, your quality of work, you're not caring about it. So next you know it, people are like saying, "Oh, he's not a great welder," so they struggle to get jobs in the future. But if you
yeah.
keep your quality at a high standard, you're always going to find work. You're always going to have boys recommending you. So always keep your quality of work to a high standard, no matter how complacent you get. Always keep it to a high standard.
Yeah, exactly. Because you might not say pick up an MMA set for 6 months, and then all of a sudden you're expected to,
Yeah,
weld a butt to
you have to be
100%
stronger. Yeah,
standard, and you're like, wow, I
yeah.
haven't done this for a while. It feels a bit weird. But obviously, once you
Yeah,
pick it up for a day or so, it's sort of like riding a bike, then, isn't it?
definitely, mate, definitely. Yeah. Once you got your hand in it, you'll never lose it. But it does take a few butts to get your hand back in it if you haven't done that type of work for a while. I spoke about the 3G plate test, and once you do that, you start going on to structural frames, which is start off the welding. You'll do a full pen, a weld, and you fill it out with carpet. So once you start getting the hang of that, like after the first year of getting the hang of that, you start getting more codings. You start going on to the pipe work. So for me, it was starting off in the carbon shop. Once I was good enough on the structural stuff, which was the MIG and flux core, I started going on the pipe work on the carbon side. So once you're good on the carbon side of the pipe work, you do a 6G test. Once you pass that, you go on to the production butts. And once you do the production butts and you're very good with the carbon, you end up going through the clean shop. That's how it worked in my work. And the clean shop is your likes of your exotic pipe work, like duplex, super duplex, Inconel, six moly, stainless. So it's all different pipe work that you go through into the clean shop. That's what we used to refer to, the clean shop welding.
Yeah, that was kind of similar to where I did my apprenticeship. We had a carbon shop and then a clean shop. We used to make offshore skid packages. I don't know if that's similar to what you guys were making.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
then so you had mostly I used to just do the carbon steel butts and then obviously the stainless and duplex as well. Sounds quite
yeah,
similar apprenticeships to be fair.
yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. I think a lot of apprenticeships in the UK are the same, but no disrespect to a lot of the guys that I've worked with in different countries in Europe and things like that, but the best sort of guys that I've came across tradesmen is the UK guys, the Scottish guys, and the Jordan boys and things like that. We're all pretty good at the trade, and that's the guys that sort of you want to be working with, because we'll speak about this in a bit about the quality of welders and things like that in Ireland. They're not great, but we'll speak about that in a bit.
Yeah, okay. So what did you do after your apprenticeship? Did you stay much longer once you finished or
So in my sort of line of work, everything sort of fell into place for me. So once I'd done my apprenticeship, I was in Aker Solutions in Aberdeen for about another year, and then the shop actually they shut the shop down because they were moving all the fabrication work to Norway, because I think it was working out a lot cheaper for them because they do all the fabrication, the topside stuff in Norway. So that all
yeah.
ended up getting moved to Norway, and the shop ended up shutting. So I ended up getting a shout from my brother actually about a job in Egypt. So that was sort of my first really job abroad. I was a bit nervous at the start. I thought I wasn't good enough. I was like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not ready to make this jump. But when I made the jump and I started working in Egypt, I realized, you know what, actually, I'm good enough for this and I can do a good job on it. So I was working in Alexandria, Egypt I done the first 16-week trip, and then I was home for a week and I was back out again. That was working on all subsea distribution units, SDUs, and it was all the similar pipe work like Inconel to duplex and stainless to six moly, carbon to stainless. So it was all very high duty pipe work, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, what was the quality standards like and what was the health and safety like?
Well, health and safety, as you'll probably realise, or you've been told as well, the health and safety in the UK is brilliant, absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant. You can't fault it. It's annoying at times, but it is very good. But when you go abroad in places like Egypt and things like that, it's just health and safety non-existent. You've got scaffold boards and coming out like you're nearly falling through scaffolds and that. And so, as you've probably been told, that the standard of health and safety abroad is not good at all.
Obviously, the thing is, I know health and safety can be annoying, but nobody should ever go to work and sort of come back injured or harmed, should they, really?
Exactly, mate. That's the main thing. I know it's annoying at times having to
Yeah,
do
of
this and
course.
do that, but at the end of the day, we just want everyone to be home safe to their families because nobody should be going to work and not coming home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so how long did you spend there in total then?
In Egypt, I was there for over 6, 7 months, so it was a good experience, good eye opener to see how people work abroad. We were staying in a nice hotel, getting paid good money, everything was paid for by the company, so it was good. We were working till 4:30, paid till 7, finishing, coming back, having a beer at the
Yeah,
sunset. So it was good, but it was very stressful because everything was 100% X-ray. So it was very
yeah.
stressful, but it was rewarding at the end of the job because you realise that, like working in that type of temperature, that that sort of environment, that you can do it, and you're very, very skilled man if you can do that type of work. Definitely, that's what I keep saying to guys because I've got quite a lot of guys that start in Ireland, and they keep saying to me, "Thank you for getting me to start, but I wish I'd done this sooner." Because a lot of people are scared for job security. Back home, you've got your PAYE contracts, and people get told that you're going to have a job for life here. But what they don't realise is obviously they've got mortgages and kids and they want to supply for the kids. But if you start contracting, there's work all over as well. And you can get paid a lot more money contracting. And a lot of
Yeah,
guys just
look,
wish them.
sort of when you have that base of PAYE and you have the mortgage paid every month, it's hard to make the jump, isn't it? But obviously you could make a lot of money contracting as well, yeah.
As soon as people make the jump, they're saying, "Thank you, I wish I'd done this sooner." Because a lot of guys are scared to make the jump, but as soon as they make it, they're absolutely buzzing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so where did you go after Egypt then? What was next?
So after Egypt, I started working offshore in the UK sector offshore, and I felt like in that industry, you don't get paid for what you do. Because at the end of the day, the guys out in the middle of the sea have nothing around them apart from water, and they're not getting paid for what they should be getting. You know what I mean? I just don't feel like it's paid enough for what they're doing.
How did you come about working offshore? Did you self-fund the tickets or?
So the company I was working for in Egypt, they actually put me through my offshore tickets because I'd done a good job for them in Egypt. So they started put me through that, put me through my tickets, which was very good because I know it's a lot of money to be forking out before you even have a job offshore. But it is worth it in the end because they're always looking for guys offshore. Yeah, offshore was good, mate. A lot of people work offshore now for the time off. But the thing that really grinds my gears now is you've got guys going offshore as like trying to do 2 or 3 trades in one. You've got guys
Yeah,
in their CV, riggers, welders. I'm a rigger welder. No, mate, come on. These companies are getting away with paying guys one trade money for, and they're getting 2 trades out of it. You know what I mean? So a guy's going out as a rigger and a welder, and it doesn't make sense. You're taking away somebody else's job. Some of our lad could be getting paid that for the rigging rather than doing welding and rigging at the same time.
yeah, it's difficult. I don't know if I'm quite old-fashioned, but it was always one man, one trade, sort of where I did my apprenticeship, and that's you know to go
That's
out
the way it
and
should be.
you're taking money out of someone's pocket, aren't you? But then at the same time, these guys, if they're not full time, they probably feel like if they don't take the job, somebody else is going to take it anyway, and they got to put
That,
food on the table. So I see it from both sides as well.
yeah, I understand that as well. I completely agree with you. I see it from both sides, but at the end of the day, I feel like that's part of what's wrong with the industry as well. That you've got guys doing 2 trades for one, even though there's lots of work out there for other guys, but they're just jumping at the first job offer that they get when there's plenty more work out there. So after I was working offshore for a bit, I ended up getting a shout for working over in Norway, in Stavanger in Norway, and I thought
Okay.
up there. So next, I went up there over there, and I was working in Aker Solutions Yard in Egersund. I was working there on one of the rig repairs, the Maersk Inspire, I think that was in for rig repair. Then I started really enjoying Norway. The next, I ended up getting my 5-year resident permit to work in Norway and live in Norway. So
Wow.
I was living in Norway for 2 years there. Yeah, so I started working offshore in Norway in the Norwegian sector, flying out from Stavanger. So it was very good. I really enjoyed Norway. It was class actually. It was class.
Yeah. What were the wages like? Were they high as well?
Wages were a lot higher than the UK sector. And the thing is about the UK rigs and the Norwegian rigs, I was working on the Norwegian rig any time compared to the UK rigs. It was so much, like everything was just so much more chilled, laid back, and it was just far, far better. I mean, even just like you've got a bond offshore, which you pay for getting tins of juice, but in like the Norwegian sector, everything's free. I mean, so you get everything for free anyway, which is, I feel like, I don't know why the UK sector is so far behind. I just don't understand it. But I was working in Stavanger ended up getting my Norwegian residency and things like that. I thought I was going to be there for a long time because the quality of life over there is just brilliant compared to anywhere else that I've been. So, but then I got offered a job in Dublin, and then the money that they were offering in Dublin, I can't turn that down. So I ended up jumping on a flight to Dublin, and next you know, I've been there over a year now, so and I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, so were you on Intel or somewhere else?
So I was on Intel. I was on the ASU project on Intel, and then that project sort of came to an end. Like that part of the project, the ASU side project came to an end. But then I went over to a pharmaceutical plant in MSD Dunboyne, where I was working there, and I really enjoyed it there. But the quality of work from the Irish, I don't want to disrespect the Irish, but the quality of work that we were going into was a shambles. Nothing was level, and everything was just a shambles. So
Yeah, I
um,
wasn't too impressed then.
I wasn't too impressed, like because obviously we were coming in and we were getting chucked on the job, and we were saying, "Oh, just do that, just do that." But like our quality, we can't just leave that. We need to sort that before we do anything. So we ended up ripping a lot of it out and starting it again. And I got sort of my own squad over with me from the UK, sort of Scotland area, and we sort of smashed the job out and done a good job of it. But the problem is with a lot of the Irish tradesmen is that um, they're not going through apprenticeships like the UK guys. They're not doing that. They're jumping on 1 week courses, 2 3 week courses to be welders. But as you know
Yeah.
yourself, it takes years and years to get that quality and know the understanding of the industry.
Yeah, of course, it's not the easiest skill to pick up, is it? So if you just do 2 or 3 week course, and it's just the fact of being able to use all different processes in different
Oh
positions. If not, people can say they're a welder, but then, you have to maybe
yeah,
pick up different processes and different materials, and it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
not easy at all, mate. No, but that's where like people are. That's where they get the companies in Ireland are getting it wrong because they're employing anyone because they couldn't get guys, but
Yeah.
they're paying so good money. So these guys that are doing 3 week courses are like saying they're welders or pipe fitters or whatever. At the end of the day, they're not, but they're getting that money, so they're getting a taste of good money before having to do any of the dirty work. If you know what I mean.
So how was Intel? How did you find that job? Obviously a very big project, isn't it?
It's a massive project, mate, and I think it will be for years and years to come because they keep expanding, 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 and all these American companies are building in Ireland because they're paying such a little sort of tax. I don't know what type of tax it is, but they're paying 1% tax on what they're doing. So that's why all these pharmaceuticals and young companies are building there because they're paying such a little tax, and I think that's why they're being able to pay good money. But
Yeah.
Intel, a whole, it's people are getting their. I've heard stories about Intel. People are getting their mates in that are butchers. They're getting their mates
Oh.
in that are butchers that are not even nothing to do with the industry, and they're coming in on this type of money and they're getting away with it. It's unbelievable, mate. You wouldn't believe it.
Because I know there's kind of a housing crisis there for the rental market in Dublin, isn't it? So that must be affecting people getting digs as well, you'd think.
Yeah, so a lot of Irish now are renting out their houses for like the likes of the workers coming over because at the end of the day, it's a big boom in Ireland right now. Dublin, especially Cork, there's a big boom everywhere for guys in our industry in our sector. So, but a lot of the guys a weekly pay they're paying about €180 a week for a room in Ireland, which isn't too bad regarding the amount of money that you're making a week as well. You know what I mean? So it sort of covers it and makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not drinking at Temple Bar every evening, because you wouldn't afford many pints there, would you?
Oh, 2 pints and you're done, mate. Need to take out a loan.
But yeah, I think we ordered two double Jack Daniels and Coke, and it came to like €50, I think, a few years back when we were watching the football.
Unbelievable. I've heard rumours that they put up everywhere as well. So the more drunk you get, you don't realise you're just tapping, beat, beat.
Yeah, you
Look in the
don't even
morning,
look,
I'm like,
I
oh,
suppose, dear. But
makes me
yeah.
alone.
Okay, so you said you've finished in or you finished in Dublin at the moment. So where have you been?
So I was out working on a rig that was in Bahrain in the Middle East there. So I was out working there, and I was on that project, but it's came to an end now. But I'll tell you a bit about the project. So we were doing all the mud lines and so the mud lines, it was all heavy wall 6 inch pipe work, carbon steel. Doing all the mud lines, it was stick, root and hot pass. No, it was pink, root and hot pass and stick filling cap. So it took a fair bit of filling and cap, and as you know yourself, 6 inch heavy wall. So
But obviously it's hot as well, and it's a lot of filling out that is, isn't it?
yeah, but the thing is, like, if you go to work in countries like the Middle East and things like that, they don't like seeing British guys there, if you know what I mean. So we
Okay.
were needing gas up. onto the rig. They weren't happy. They would drag their heels, and if we were needing any tools, they would drag their heels. Like we were needing heating bands on the pipe because we were needing to heat the pipe up to over 200 degrees, and they
Yeah.
weren't giving us heating bands. They gave us oxyacetylene to heat the butts up with, which should be propane or heating bands. So as you know, they just never wanted us there. So they tried to make it as difficult as possible. And that was the same when I was in Egypt also. They just never wanted you there.
They just don't want the Brits there at all, you think? No.
No, they don't want the Brits there because they feel like, because they know that the Brits are getting a lot more money than them and they feel like they can do the job, but their quality is nowhere near as good as Brits, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's difficult then, isn't it? So, what are your plans now? Now you've finished there?
So now we've finished that project. I'm starting as supervisor back at Intel, the same project, ASU project. So I'm starting supervisor there on the 12th. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Get a good squad of guys behind me. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm looking forward to that.
if you don't mind me asking, what's the going rate for a welder there for anyone watching?
So the going rate there for a welder is for the first 40 hours, you'll be on €38 an hour. And then after 40 hours, it
Good.
bounces up to €49 an hour. And Sundays is looking about €70 an hour. And that is all paid weekly.
What about digs then?
So
Was
digs,
that
well, I'm renting a house in Dublin and I'm paying about €800 a month for that. But guys are picking up rooms for 170, 180 a week.
Yeah, look, you want to be comfortable if you're going to be there for the long term as well. So it's nice to
Yeah,
have somewhere, a place of your own, isn't it?
yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah. But
But
at the end of the day, a lot of people are put off from working in Ireland is because you need to do a CSR card for working in Ireland. So it's like a safety pass, it's like CSCS card of the UK.
yeah,
So you can get that done in Belfast. A lot of guys go over to Belfast, get it done, and they bounce down to Dublin. But that puts a lot of guys off doing it because you need to fork out money for your flights, your hotel in Belfast before you get the course done.
yeah, exactly. If that's coming out of your own pocket, by the time you pay for a flight and obviously
Yeah,
the course, how much is the course?
the course is about £90, and obviously it's a day course. It's just basic health and safety. It's just to get you on the Irish sites. But yeah, it's definitely worth doing if anyone's watching it because at the end of the day, Ireland's booming right now, and the money you can make is phenomenal over there.
Yeah, look, it's the same any country you go. You're going to have to do some sort of safety pass, especially in the UK or Ireland. So you might as well just, if you want to work in Ireland, get that booked in. Um, for the jobs at Intel, where would you mostly find those? Kind of on LinkedIn, on Indeed?
A lot of it's very cliquey right now because like the company, the recruitment company that I was working for right now is that like it's sort of word of mouth, if you know what I mean. Like if you're a good lad, you'll get your mate in, or if you know good guys, it's sort of cliquey. So, but there is some posted on LinkedIn, but it's normally PYE jobs. So I'm currently working RCT in Ireland, it's equivalent to CIS in the UK, and that's where the sort of the money's at, the contracting jobs in Ireland. But yeah, it's very cliquey. So, but you can find jobs on LinkedIn and through friends and work colleagues that you've worked with before.
Yeah, with that, is the 20% tax taken at source then, is it?
Yeah, so once you get your wage a week, before you get your wage a week, they'll take 20% tax off you, and you'll get your weekly wage. And at the end of the year, you can claim back basically 90% of that money from the Irish government. So guys are getting £20,000 tax rebates back and paying some to
Wow.
the UK. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it's phenomenal money.
What sort of rate are they paying for inspectors on Intel then? Is that a little bit higher then?
Yeah, you're getting maybe 43 to €45 an hour flat. I don't know if that's flat rate or what, but yeah, they're paying good money for inspectors as well. Yeah.
Is that something you thought of, sort of moving into inspection, or are you kind of happy welding?
I will be in the future when I'm getting too old to bend under and weld the butts like getting in that tight spot. So I'll probably start getting
Yeah.
into my inspection. But yeah, it's definitely something I've thought about and will think about in the future. But once I've finished this project in Ireland and once I've done the supervisor role, I'm looking to, me and my brother is also a welder. We're looking to sort up our own recruitment company, sort of in the process now. The ball's sort of rolling. So yeah, hopefully that kicks off soon as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because obviously, well, when I came back I lived in Australia for about a year and a half, and when I came back, yeah, I kind of set myself a goal of I'm going to do my 3-1, and obviously with the way everything is at the moment in the nuclear industry, I was just lucky to get a start there. Um,
Yeah.
Kind of the perfect time. I self-funded everything, self-funded my 3-1 and my PCN. But obviously it's worth it in the end, because I
Yeah,
don't miss
sometimes,
getting
yeah.
dirty and sweaty, and
Yeah.
I don't miss the sort
I
of
can imagine.
welding stuff in position either. I don't miss that.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. Because sometimes it's very everyone thinks it's all a clean job, but Not until
Yeah.
you're stuck between two pipes, sweating like mad, you realise, geez, it is quite tough, tough trade,
Obviously,
yeah.
yeah, you have the good jobs and the bad jobs, don't you? But sort of the good ones normally outweigh the bad ones. But
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah.
so what made you think of starting your own recruitment company? Where did that come from?
Because I was getting so much good guys over, and I was getting paid for getting these guys over. But the more guys I was getting over, it was good lads, like very good guys at the trade. And I goes, you know what? Why do I not start getting boys over myself? You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
start recruiting myself because the money that the companies are paying, they're paying about €65 to the recruitment companies an hour, and then these guys are paying the guys good money as well, so they're making sometimes €25 an hour off each man.
It's actually incredible when you think of it, though, isn't it? Because, really that's money that could be in the welder's pocket. But,
Exactly, mate. Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. That's the way I seen it as well. It's like, you know what I mean? The guys could be getting paid more, but at the end of the day, I don't think we're going to grumble what we're getting now.
yeah, no, of course. But look, if you're already helping somebody else make money, you might as well try and make your own money
Yeah,
instead, you know?
exactly. That's what it
You
came from. I
know,
goes, you know what? I can do that. I can sit lying on a beach and answer a few phone calls and make a few phone calls, get a few guys starts. That I mean, why not?
yeah, well, if you can't beat them, join them, isn't it? That's what they
Yeah,
say.
exactly that.
But,
Exactly. Yes. So, how do you find Australia? Because I was also thinking about that in the future as well.
yeah, good. I just went over on a working holiday visa, did a bit of traveling, but a lot of the issues for me I landed maybe 3 weeks before COVID hit.
Oh, nightmare.
Yeah, so basically the full time I was there wasn't, you couldn't leave the country, we couldn't do much traveling. A lot of the times the borders were closed. But I did my farm work there in Welding in a regional area, which was okay. Worked on a few different shutdowns around the Sydney area, mostly with British lads, met a few British lads.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Um,
Yeah.
and we had, the Australians never really wanted to work overtime or weekends. So we kind of just smashed the weekends in and then we would have like a couple of weeks off and wherever. Yeah, really enjoyed it. The heat is obviously a lot different, isn't it? Welding in like 50-degree heat and
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? You need to keep your feet
absolutely
hydrated.
sweating. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was maybe 2 weeks in and I was working on a paper mill and it was like 49 degrees and I was just dripping with sweat thinking, what am I doing? But obviously at
yeah,
the end of the week when the wage packet came, you were like, great. And
yeah.
then I went off and did a bit of traveling then, which was
I
fun.
think yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my farm work then, I kind of welded gates and fences in the middle of
Oh,
nowhere, like,
that's
yeah,
yeah,
6 hours west of Sydney it was. Yeah, so that was good. Saved me picking fruit.
yeah, class. It just seems like you live the dream over there. 'Cause it's supposed to be like Britain in the heat, though.
Yeah, of course. Look, it's just, different places you work just helps build more experience and you get to know how different people work.
Yeah, but builds confidence as well. As you said before, like as soon as you go over that boundary of your comfort zone, like flying to a different country, not knowing anyone, and just starting working, it builds
Yeah.
your confidence, you build contacts, it builds everything. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. I remember kind of pulling up, moving into a hostel on my own. I had like a week booked in this hostel, like, and I remember being jet lagged, thinking, "What have I done?" But then, once you settle in, within a few days, I knew a few people, and then it kind of moved from there. Then,
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely.
so obviously, you said would you think about doing sort of the 3-1, and is there anything else you'd like to do?
I've sort of just at the moment I've got my mindset on this next project in Intel, getting this out the way first, and then once I sort of got that out the way, I think I'm going to start the recruitment company and get that booming as
Yeah.
well, get that going. If you ever need a
What
job
about
in the future, mate, you know.
yeah? What about the orbital welding? Is that something you've ever done? Because I see a lot of that around at the moment.
So I'm very interested in the orbital welding because I know you're getting good money in the UK for orbital welders as well, and you can do a week's course in the orbital welding. So, but it's something I'm definitely looking to get interested in because it's something to have and you can use it all over the world as well.
Yeah, look, obviously I don't really know much about it, but it can't be too hard, can it? It's got to be sort of put the
No,
settings in and press the button, you'd
I,
imagine.
I, I'll tell you right now, mate. There's no squeezing in between pipes and trying to get your amp set or try to get the heat right. So you can just put it on and program it, and off you go. Really.
Yeah, we did a bit of plastic welding before, and that was kind of plug it in, like sort of press the
Yeah,
buttons on the machine and press go. Kind of sounds a bit like that, but people will probably tell me I'm wrong, but I don't know.
yeah. We'll find out. We'll probably get told we're wrong here, yeah, but it seems easy enough anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you find sort of being away from home all the time then? Because you seem to have been here, there, and everywhere. Is that something that you've got used to, or?
Yeah, to start with, at the time you feel like you're missing out, or but at the end of the day, you go over that, get over that cycle of missing things, and realize like what's best for you, and concentrate on yourself, and do a bit of self loving for yourself. Look after yourself because nobody else is going to, mate. You know what I mean? So you do get past that stage of missing your mates, but at the end of the day, when you come home and see your family and friends, it makes it all worthwhile, and just have a belter when you're home.
Exactly. Look, when your mates, a lot of your mates will probably be doing the same thing they were doing when you left, but you're
Yeah,
away, you're
exactly. Yeah.
experiencing new things. Do you find it so you don't find it sort of a struggle mentally being away all the time?
At the end of the day, working in the game is hard mentally at times because nothing ever runs perfect, if you know what I mean. So
No.
you're on a job and you're trying to get it done. The supervisor, somebody's whipping you, trying to get the job done, and things are going wrong and they don't understand it because they're just wanting the job and job done. But yeah, it is hard mentally. Sometimes people can't feel it mentally, but if you've got a good squad around you, a good squad of lads, you all help each other through it because at the end of the day, everyone's going through tough times in life. So help each other through it, and everyone does. Just be yourself, and it will all fall into place.
Yeah, that's the issue. You never kind of know what anyone's feeling, do you? Because everyone kind of puts on a show, I'm good. But especially, it can be a stressful environment when, say, you have X amount of things you have to weld, or you have to get this, you have to do that. And, it's tiring, not just on your body, but mentally as well.
Definitely, yeah. Especially if you're working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week, sometimes it does
Yeah.
catch up on you. It does catch up on you, but at the end of the day, it's all worth it at the end when you're going on nice holidays and experiencing nice things and making good memories with people. So it is good and worth it in the end, mate. But at the end of the day, it is tough mentally at times, but at the end of the day, everyone helps each other through it, and that's part of life. Be nice always to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And it's coming in a lot more now into the industry where you can ask for help if you need it, or people talk about it more, especially lads now that I work with. People do speak about things more, and that helps. If you have someone you can chat with and go grab a beer after work or go and have a cup of coffee. It makes a big difference.
It takes a lot off your shoulders as well. It's at the end of the day, if you feel under pressure in your mind, just speak up. Everyone knows it. Just speak up, and it will get better. Just as soon as you speak up, you get that big relief off your shoulders. If you know what I mean, just speak up. And there's people in work now that you can phone to mental health, and it's all confidential. So if you do feel like you're going through a tough time and things like that, then you've got that to help you as well.
Yeah, no, it's good to hear, and it's good to know that there are options out there because a lot of men do kind of struggle and suffer in silence, but it is getting better. That I've definitely noticed that more over the last few years.
Definitely, definitely. It is getting better, as you said, yeah, 100%. Because everyone's starting to realise that you can't speak about it and not feel judged. So,
Yeah, exactly. Times are
it's getting better.
changing. It's not the 80s or the
Yeah,
90s
yeah.
anymore where you have to be a manly and you have to be tough. We all
Exactly.
go through things, don't we?
Everyone has bad days and everyone has good days, mate. And it's about the people around you that help you through the bad days.
Sorry, you said you had residency in Norway. Is that something you're going to look at going back to Norway eventually, or?
Yeah, I probably will go back. The only thing, when this project in Ireland came up, I jumped at it because in Norway, the weather's absolutely freezing in winter time. And it was about
Yeah.
November time. I goes, you know what? Dublin wasn't much warmer, but at least it wasn't minus 15 in the mornings when you're trying to scrape your car to go to work. So, yeah, I'll definitely look to go back in the future. But right now, I'm enjoying where I am in Dublin. I'm living with a good bunch of lads that are top
Thing
quality.
is,
And
as well, half the battle is having a good group of lads around you because then at least you can enjoy yourself and, the day goes by so much quicker if you're having a bit of crack, having a bit of a laugh, doesn't it?
if you go into a job, you realise who the guys are that you're sort of welcome to, and you all end up having a crack all day. Like that last job in MSD, but Boyne, the crack was just non-stop, mate, and it made your day go a lot better. So that's what you'll get when you work away. You'll meet so much new guys, so much new contacts, and you'll just experience so much different things.
Because everybody's in the same boat, aren't they? Away from home, you can't just go home and watch TV. You all get to know each other
Exactly.
better, whether that's going for a drink or going for food after work. Um,
Definitely.
okay, yeah. So if you was to give anybody a little bit of advice who was coming into the game today, an apprentice or whatever, what would you say to them?
No matter how tough it gets in work and you're not enjoying it at the start, nobody enjoys being an apprentice to start with. Everyone hates it, man. Everyone hates it because you're not doing your actual trade that you're going to be doing. But just grind it out because once you've got your papers and your qualification behind you, once you got your qualification and papers behind you, you're never going to look back. You're always going to have that to fall back on, even if you don't enjoy it to start with. Just get the papers, get the qualification, have that to fall back on, and you'll always have it behind you. But I would say to start with, if you are wanting to get into this game, the welding, pipe fitting, plating, fabricating, get an apprenticeship behind you because you'll learn so much during that apprenticeship from more experienced guys, and that's the way I've learned from experienced guys, the guys that are now retired that know the tricks of the trade. So get an apprenticeship behind you, go to college, and because a lot of people are trying to take shortcuts right now, try to jump into straight into good money, but just bide your time because then the world wasn't created in a day, you know what I mean? So just take your
Yeah,
time.
of course. I can remember some of the older guys who spent a bit of time with me when I was an apprentice, and there's things you don't forget, and things they tell you and things they kind of drill into you from an early
Yeah,
age. And
yeah.
they stick with you, don't they? Because you remember those things.
As you said before, you remember everything that the guys have taught you. Like when I was an apprentice, I was made to do something, and if it wasn't perfect first time or right, they say no, do it again. And still pass, but say no, do it again until
Yeah.
you perfect that. Then you'll go into something else. You know what I mean?
I used to hate it. Sort of, I'd be there in the carbon shop prepping my pipe, cutting it, sort of welding one, not very good, cut it down the middle, turn around,
Yeah,
prep it again, and it used to feel like such a drag. At the time I was thinking, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? And then one day something just clicks, doesn't it? Whether or not you just understand it or you get it, all of a sudden it just feels like something switches.
yeah, and then you start realizing, yeah, you know what, I'm here to do good at this certain project or this trade, and you end up just sticking to it and doing well. Because once you start seeing results, it's just like anything. If you start going to the gym at the start, you're hating it, you're not getting results. But once you start getting better at something and start really seeing the what's the words? Once you start seeing the progress, then you start enjoying it more because you're seeing progress.
Welding something you still enjoy? Because I've always quite enjoyed welding. I've never seen it as a sort of a chore or a task. I've always relatively enjoyed it.
As we spoke about before, you have good jobs and bad jobs. Obviously, the good jobs, you're flying, you're loving it, and you're having the
Yeah.
crack with the lads. But sometimes you get bad jobs. Like, having good days and bad days, you enjoy it, then some days you don't. So yeah, but I actually, I do still really enjoy the trade. Just going out meeting new lads in the same trade as you, and just it is good crack.
Also, just having a bit of pride in your work and seeing what you've done and being, I'm happy with that. I'm proud of that.
Because at the end of the day, when a lot of inspectors are commenting on your work and things like that, and they're saying they're impressed. So that's sort of a pat on the back as well. It feels good from where you came from years and years ago.
If somebody had told you, just as you were coming out of your time, you would have worked in Egypt, you would have worked in Dublin, you would have worked in Norway, you certainly would have taken that, wouldn't you?
I would have been like that. 'Cause as soon as I had an apprenticeship, that's what I've been dying to do for years and years. Get away, get abroad, see the world. Like all the new guys that want to come into the trade, get into the trade because you'll be able to see the world and earn good money doing it. Know what I mean?
Yeah, just there's so many options once you come out of your time. The world's your oyster if you want to go out there and get it. So if there's anybody watching who's young, then it's definitely a trade where you can see the world and earn good money along the way.
Definitely. Yep. It's definitely worth it in the end because at the end of the day, the things that you can do with the money that you can make is phenomenal, and the memories you're going to have with it is really good.
Okay, one thing I've been trying to ask my guests, can you tell me a funny story from the industry, something that kind of comes to the top of your head? Obviously, try and keep it relatively clean, but
Yeah, you know what? It's probably not best for covering some of this stuff because some of it is belters. But if anyone is coming into the welding game that are wanting to be welders, just watch out for tradesmen swapping out your tungstens for bits of wire because as soon as you try to work up that bit of wire, it's going to explode like it's happened many a times before. And I still get the apprentices with it all the time and they hate it.
I
But
remember I did that to one of the older guys. He was like 60 or whatever, and he just couldn't work it out for ages. I remember we were laughing when we were apprentices. So.
brilliant, mate, brilliant. But I will say one thing: I was working in a place in I'm not going to say what it was, but so some of the apprentices they never had any welding hoods, and so I set up a couple of butts for them because they wanted to practice. And I come back and had basically a lens like sellotape to their head, so they were welding away with just a lens, no hood. The next day they came in and you should have seen them, man. They just had a white bit there and their whole face was red. I was like, "What are you doing, man?" Crazy.
God, it's so dangerous as well, though. God, that must have been hurting, must have been
Oh,
burns all over the shop.
oh, they weren't ugly. Like, that's your own fault. You'll never make that mistake again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I remember we used to put grease on the headbands as well a lot. That was always when you'd come back and you just got grease. You're like, oh no, grease all over.
Oh, absolutely horrible. I remember when I was working, when I was an apprentice, everyone knew that I hate bugs and spiders and that. So I had my little baby mask. And what they've done is they took out the lens and they put like a bug in between the clean lens and the glass lens.
Yeah.
And I took the lens back on. So when I flicked the hood down, to see this massive spider and this massive bug in my lens, honestly, man, I've never shouted so much in my life.
Ah, it's funny though. Like they the kind of things you remember though, from being apprentice. Because obviously you have bad days, but you have so many good days as well.
Oh, it's good crack, mate. It's good crack. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, I know. So when you starting the new job at Intel, that next week or
I'm starting on the 12th, mate. Yeah, I was looking to get an insight in the welding orbit welding course next week, but I can't get any available spots, so I'm just going to start on the 12th and have a bit of time off and enjoy myself.
yeah,
Because I'm
look,
just
enjoy
back from
yourself.
yeah, I'm just back from Dubai after that Bahrain job. I flew over to Dubai and done a bit of skydiving and that, so
How did
feeling
you
a bit
find
relaxed.
Dubai? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, phenomenal, mate. I would love to get offshore there because I think I just everything about Dubai was unbelievable. The Middle East was class, mate. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, a few of us went to watch the Wales play in the World Cup and we stayed in Dubai and flew over to Qatar for the games. So that was fun this summer.
Oh, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, Dubai is some place, isn't it? Yeah,
We're not having a different gravy over there, pal. Aye. Different gravy, man.
it was, it was better than what I expected, to be honest with you. I thought it might be a bit strict, but we had a very good time. Yeah.
I had a belt, mate. I can imagine.
Yeah, but
Fantastic.
yeah, and nice. Well, obviously, good luck with everything in Intel, and thank you for coming on. It's been good to speak to you.
Yeah, cheers, brother. I appreciate it. Any more questions or any more stuff you want to know, just let me know, and I'll hopefully catch up with you in the future and see how we go on.
Yeah, all right. Well, if I'm ever over in Dublin, I'll drop you a message. You can get me a job with your new recruitment company.
Yeah, exactly, mate. We'll go for a couple of pints at
Yeah,
Temple Bar.
yeah, you can pay then. All right.
Yeah, I'll get it. It's on me this
Yeah.
time, right?
All right. Nice one, Aaron. Look
No
after
problem, bro.
yourself.
Appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy.
Take it easy, man. See you later.